Time. Hanny Time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
Max Cotro filling in for Charles Hannegriff on this Fat Tuesday edition of Hanny Time, joined by Taylor Sharp and Mario Jerez on the ones and twos. Great show for you today on this Mardi Gras edition. We'll talk a little college basketball to start. Maybe get into my thoughts on the Saints' next quarterback as well. Of course, as always, on Tuesdays, we'll be joined by Dwayne Colucci, race and sports manager at the Rampart in Las Vegas at 12:30. And, of course, we can answer your questions. Leave them in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, and we'll see if we have some time to get to those at the end of the show. But just before we came on air, about 10:30, just after 10:30, ESPN's Pete Thamel reporting that LSU special teams coordinator Brian Polian transitioning to an off-field role where he will help manage the roster, NIL, and the transfer portal in what he calls a GM-type role. So that means Brian Polian, no longer special teams coordinator, being moved within the program to an off-field role. And LSU will be looking for a new special teams coordinator. So interesting news there. I think fans were certainly asking for a shift at special teams. We all know, look, statistically, they were one of the worst special teams units in the country last year, but you didn't need statistics to tell you that. It was ugly from the very get-go, maybe improved slightly, but I can think even of the SEC championship game where Georgia returns a blocked field goal where you're just unaware of the situation. So Brian Polian, not really a big surprise, not going to be retained as special teams coordinator. And I would just say this. Fans were certainly upset with Brian Polian. That was a common topic of discussion throughout the entire season. I don't think Brian Kelly is making this move because of public pressure or fan feelings. I mean, Brian Polian came in from Notre Dame. He was the only on-field coach, I believe, to follow Polian from Notre Dame. But Brian Kelly's a smart guy, and he sees what's going on the special teams unit all season long. There was going to be a change made there, and that's what we see here. Pete Thamel again reporting Brian Polian transitioning to an off-field role, no longer special teams coach at LSU. So let's get into a couple thoughts from last night in college basketball. The big game, number 3 Kansas on the road at number 24 TCU. And this is the start of the year, the part of the year where college basketball trumps everything. And we talked a little bit yesterday about XFL and some of the other things going on campus and in the professional world, but college basketball reigns supreme right now, and we had a doozy of a game last night. Kansas gets the win, 63-58. They are probably the most informed team in college basketball right now. No one really playing much better. We talked a little bit about this game last night on Jimmy Ott's Game Time. It was one that was really tough to kind of pick a side, but TCU had lost 5 of 7 coming in, but most of that being without Mike Miles Jr. 18 points per game, a key piece, and that's why you saw TCU favored, and we saw a good bit of line movement actually right before tip. Moved from TCU as a 1-point favorite, kicked off at like 3.5. So a lot of respected action coming in on TCU late, but just a great game in what is clearly the best conference in college basketball. Kansas atop the way, but the shots did not come easy, and college basketball has a reputation. Games can get ugly. Low-scoring games are often because of offensive inefficiencies rather than defensive greatness. And I know some people will say they prefer college basketball to NBA. I'm not one of those people. I think the NBA is a lot cleaner game. It's just a better game. People will say that NBA, there's not much defense. That's not true. You're going up against just outstanding offensive players. You're not doing that in college. That's why you see more of these muck-it-up defensive games. But the shots didn't come easy because of defense in this game. The refs let them play. I'll give them credit. There was a lot of contact out there, and they let them go. But these two teams combined for 35% from the field. Just a fantastic defensive performance by both sides. But Grady Dick scores 19 points, leads the way for Kansas. He's now a top 10 prospect. He's had an outstanding season. So I didn't think he was an NBA prospect, but looking at it today, he's mocked inside the top 10 in some aspects. So really fun game, and it's kind of kicks off when we're starting to follow college basketball fully. You know, we kind of pushed aside LSU. Let's be honest, it's hard to watch that a little bit, but looking elsewhere, you're starting to think about who you're going to have in your March Madness pools, building your brackets, and Kansas really making a statement, defending champions, not going away anytime soon. Looking at tonight's college basketball games, we've got 2 ranked versus ranked Big 12 matchups. Again, best conference in the land by far. Baylor, hoping to bounce back from its loss to Kansas over the weekend. They now go to the Little Apple to face Kansas State in the battle for third place in the conference. Iowa State also, they start a brutal 4-game stretch for Texas. Texas finishes their season, Iowa State, at Baylor, at TCU, and Kansas. I mean, that's the gauntlet that is the Big 12 right now. Interim coach Rodney Terry, I mean, come on. What he's done for Texas, they lose Chris Beard midseason. That distraction, that turmoil doesn't affect them. They've been very good, and they're still inside the top 10. You've got another ranked matchup in the Big East. Cam Jones and Marquette head to Omaha, play Creighton. They've got, I forget his last name, the 7-1 guy, center for Creighton, has been really good for this team and is a mismatch for a lot. And he was absent in the first game between these two, but he'll be back in action tonight, Marquette and Creighton. And then 3 games tonight in the SEC. Number 11, Tennessee, heads to College Station, take on number 25, Texas A&M. 2 teams somewhat going in opposite directions. Aggies 12-2 in the SEC. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that before the season began. They've won 5 in a row, and Buzz Williams has this team going. This is a team to watch going into March. They could make a run. Rick Barnes, on the other hand, we've seen really for the last 10 years or so, but since he's been at Tennessee, failed to get past the Sweet 16, taking teams with Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield that performed greatly in the regular season, but they get into the tournament. They lack that go-to scorer, that go-to player to take over games, and they get bounced early. And it very much seems like, once again, a team that was top 5 earlier in the season, getting a lot of respect in that discussion as, are they the best team? Because we don't really know. There are so many good teams out there. It's hard to really pick which one is by far and away the best. Kansas right now is playing the best, but there's not really any consistency across the board in college basketball. But Tennessee now is falling off the cliff. Sputtering, losing 4 of the last 6 games. And I really think it goes to Josiah Jordan-James, the guard. He scored a season-high 22 against LSU, if you remember, back when they came to the PMAC. He's not their leading scorer. I think he's 3rd in scoring for them, but really key part of that team. Vescovi can do so much, but Josiah Jordan-James, Julian Phillips, both game-time decisions for tonight. So big game there in the SEC. A&M trying to chase down Alabama, just a game back in the conference. So we'll see if the Aggies can continue their run tonight hosting the Vols. Mississippi State at Missouri, 2 teams on the bubble. Missouri, a 10 seed. Joe Lunardi released his bracketology this morning. Mississippi State among the last 4 teams in right now. They've been outside. They've worked their way just inside. Chris Jans, incredible job he's done in his first year there in Starkville. But Kobe Brown, he's in top form. Missouri kind of going the other way as well. They've lost 2 in a row. So interested to see that game. But the one I'm sort of going to watch intently, this is the late game, 8 o'clock on SEC Network, Georgia at Arkansas. Now, this is a mismatch on the floor. Georgia's won 1 game on the road in conference play. That was at Ole Miss. Georgia 6-8 in conference play. Not a very good team. Let's be honest. But they're not good on the road. Arkansas is a heavy favorite in this game. But with the return of Nick Smith Jr., one of the prized recruits, one of the top recruits in the nation coming in, he's been hurt all year. And he comes back in the last 3 games, averaged about 10 minutes in the first 2 appearances. So really didn't get to see what he was made of in the first 2. But Saturday took on Florida. Arkansas would win by 19. He played 30 minutes in that game. Scored 10 points. A little rusty. You saw that. I think he was 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. But he's someone who can space the floor for them. More of a shooter. And I'm not sure that he's going to play the role that Arkansas expected when he came in. He was more of a ball-dominant player that was going to, he's the number one recruit. You expect the offense to kind of play through him. But when you've been without him all season long, it's kind of difficult to do that. So I think they've created their MO already, but they're going to work him in the fold, and I think that makes Arkansas a really interesting team to watch down the stretch. They've got a tough couple games coming up as well after this, on the road at Tennessee. It doesn't get easy for them, so watch out for the Razorbacks. Eric Musselman, he has experience, already taking Arkansas to some success in March. We'll see if he can do that again, and now he gets Nick Smith back, a team that, by the way, is in the bottom 50 in all of FBS, all of Division I in college basketball in three-point percentage. They cannot space the floor. They're shooting like 30% from beyond the arc. So if they can get Nick Smith Jr. back in a way that, he's contributing, scoring, spacing the floor, I think it makes Arkansas a dangerous team. So I know they're a big favorite tonight. I think about 14 at home against Georgia, but interested to see how that game goes over in the 3 games in the SEC tonight. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more of basketball, maybe get to the Pelicans, some thoughts as we get to All-Star break, kind of a chance to assess, certainly not the halfway point anymore. It's almost 3/4 the way through the regular season, but we'll see what our thoughts are on the Pelicans going forward. And then my thoughts on the Saints' next quarterback might be a little bit different than you may think. And of course, Dwayne Colucci will join us at 12:30. This is the Mardi Gras edition of Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Charles Hanniger for Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Right now, the Sell Your Car program from Infinity of Baton Rouge, they want to buy vehicles from customers right off the street. It's so easy to get an offer from Infinity of Baton Rouge, whether you're looking to sell to Infinity, trade it in for another vehicle, or even if you're just looking to find out what the value is. It takes less than 15 minutes to get a quote. There is no pressure to buy. But when you do get into the certified pre-owned program at Infinity of Baton Rouge, these vehicles have met the age and mileage requirements that are necessary to go through the 167-point inspections. Once it passes that, it qualifies for a 6-year unlimited mile warranty with 1 full year of prepaid maintenance. Couple that with the fact that you're going to get roadside assistance and a courtesy car when you bring your vehicle in for maintenance. It makes it so easy. Add in transparency in prices and family atmosphere. It's easy why to see. We'll continue to do our shopping at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus 2-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge.
Mario Jerez. Join us for Wednesdays Off the Bench as Carter the Power Bryant will be in the co-host, and we talk about sports and sports-related items. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Again, if you're just joining us, a bit of news dropped just after 10:30 from ESPN's Pete Thamel. LSU special teams coordinator Brian Polian transitioning to an off-field role, no longer special teams coach. So LSU looking for a new coach at special teams. I want to get to some thoughts on our New Orleans professional teams. We'll start off with the Pelicans. All-Star break gives you a chance to self-evaluate, sort of assess where you are. Pelicans right now 30-29, heading into the break. So what's that? 23 games remaining. Not a whole lot to go for the Pels. They'll be back on Thursday, a 2-game road trip up north, starting actually to our neighbors in the north at Toronto before they'll play Saturday at New York. The Pelicans have the third easiest remaining strength of schedule, which gives them some opportunities here. That they play the Rockets twice, the Spurs once. They're in full tank mode. Both those teams are in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So are the Hornets. They're on the Eastern Conference side of tanking as well. You play the Magic. You got the Lakers again, which we still have a bitter taste in our mouths about the way we went into the All-Star break. Losing to Anthony Davis, the Lakers, that's never fun if you're a Pelicans fan. But third easiest remaining schedule. You're currently 7th in the West. Right now, you'd be in the play-in game. You'd only need to win one of two, but obviously a lot of time left. And I just keep thinking back to the Celtics. Last year, they started their run a lot earlier. So Pels are a little bit behind if they want to mimic what the Celtics were able to do midseason last year. But the Celtics were sort of in a similar spot, play-in type of team, not really sure what they were going to do in the playoffs. Flipped the switch. All of a sudden, they were in the NBA Finals and quite a chance to beat the Golden State Warriors. Now, with that strength of schedule, you think maybe it's possible. Now, being without Zion certainly negates that a little bit. And we don't know if Zion Williamson will return at some point in the regular season, maybe if at all this season. But with Brandon Ingram playing the way he was going into All-Star break, it's very reassuring that the Pelicans can take care of these opportunities. And I mentioned the teams tanking. You've got 4 teams in the bottom 4 in record. Tanking, we don't like to use the word. If you're a fan of those teams, it's hard to root for losses. But in a year with Victor Wembanyama in the mix, that's what's going to happen. And these teams are mailing it in. All 4 of these teams, Hornets, Pistons, Spurs, Rockets, have a point differential of 6 or worse. -6 for the whole season. That is really bad. bringing in some wins there. They're getting blown out in a lot of their games, and I only expect that to get worse the rest of the way. So Brandon Ingram being back, we'll see how the ever-evolving Jonas Valanciunas sort of role is. He's getting less and less minutes. Maybe that's a sign of things to come in the future seasons for him. But the Pels have a lot of work to do, and I think they can work their way into a position where they avoid the play-in. They're a half game out right now. Now, the Mavericks are right ahead them at the 6th line. They have the easiest remaining strength of schedule, so might be hard to catch them. They add Kyrie Irving. The Suns are 5th. Again, they bring in Kevin Durant. So the teams ahead of you, for the most part, have gotten better. Now, the Clippers bring in Russell Westbrook. Whatever you say, maybe they got worse, maybe they got better. I think they got better, but perhaps the Kings start falling off. The Grizzlies, it's going to be hard to catch them. You're 6 games back. Even though they're going downhill, they've won 4 of their last 10 games. It seems unlikely you're going to catch them. So if you're the Pelicans, your goal in the last 23 games, maybe you host a playoff series. That seems unlikely. Just get out of the play-in spot. It's perfectly reasonable, and then we'll see how Zion's health shakes out. We'll see where his status is come the playoffs. But I do think the Pelicans' season is not lost. Even with a 10-game losing streak, there's still a lot to look forward to. We saw the fun that they had last year against the Suns in that series. We'll see if they can do it again as we close out the NBA season. Before we get to Dwayne Colucci, I do want to give my thoughts with some of the recent Derek Carr news we've seen across the NFL. He's been spending some time interviewed with the Jets. His brother, David Carr, is part of NFL Network, and he's been pretty vocal about this whole situation, talking about the way things ended in Las Vegas. But David Carr saying it's going to be a long process. He's going to do his due diligence, interview with a few teams, and look, David Carr is going to do what's best for his brother. If he can make him some more money, he's going to do that. But even from a biased source, I do believe what he's saying. It's going to be a little bit of time before we know what Derek Carr's doing. And I think this starts with the decision for Aaron Rodgers. Now, maybe he's in darkness right now. Maybe he's asleep. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing. I won't pretend to get in the mind of Aaron Rodgers. His brain would take me a lot of places, and I don't know if I want to be in those spots. But let's play the role of Aaron Rodgers' brain here. We've got some odds on his next team, and the Jets are the very comfortable spot in my mind initially. They've got a great team where you just throw in a quarterback, and they're a Super Bowl contender. But you're seeing right now Derek Carr's former team as the favorite to land Aaron Rodgers. Minus 200 to go to the Raiders. Rodgers plus 150 to go to the Jets, and plus 250 to remain with the Packers. So favored to go to the Raiders out of any spot. Go back to his former wide receiver in Devontae Adams. And I do think there was one halt that I had in saying that Rodgers would go to the Jets. It makes a lot of sense on paper. They have a Super Bowl caliber roster if they fill in that quarterback. But Aaron Rodgers' brain, remember, it's kind of a weird place. He doesn't really like Brett Favre. That relationship has been frayed. Is he really going to do exactly as Brett Favre did and leave Green Bay to go to the Jets? Just a thought. So let's say that this is right and Rodgers ends up going to the Raiders. I personally am not a proponent of Derek Carr signing with the Saints. I think that gives you too long of a position where you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Is Derek Carr a Super Bowl caliber quarterback? To me, he is not. There was a short window of time where he was a MVP candidate early in the season last year. That fizzled out. This past year, he was not very good. The way things ended in Las Vegas, look, maybe he was scapegoated. He was scapegoated. But was he a great leader? Did he lack a bit of toughness? Perhaps. And all in all, we have a large sample size as to who he is. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Josh Allen. He's not Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. If you're a fan of those teams, you feel very comfortable with where you are, even if you haven't won a Super Bowl yet. Even if you're the Bills, Josh Allen is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, so you feel comfortable with where you are. Jalen Hurts even. I mean, I'm someone who looks at analytics a little bit, right? EPA per play, expected points added. How many big plays are you making to win games? How many high leverage situations, 3rd and long, 4th down conversions? How much are you converting on those? Are you reliable in those situations? Derek Carr's 14th over the last year. You've got Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Tua even, when he stays healthy. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. All those names kind of make sense why those teams would have some success. They were good offensively. But there's one name I want to throw out there, and I have no information on this. Nothing to support this, that the Saints are going to target him. But we've even heard Baker Mayfield, that the Saints were high on him in the pre-draft process, and they might consider him if not for Derek Carr. But is Baker Mayfield the best you can do? If you're not going to go to the draft to solve your issues, if you're not going to trade up for an Anthony Richardson or a Will Levis, if you don't have your guy this year in the draft, which is, if you have your guy, maybe you trade for him. I mean, you have to. If you think you have a franchise top 5 quarterback the rest of the way, you can do whatever you can, move whatever you can to get that guy. But if you can't, why spend $30 million or more on Derek Carr, who's not really going to win you a Super Bowl, more than likely? At least not with the roster you have. Your pass rush, not good enough. It's aging. You hear Cameron Jordan asking for a defensive tackle in the draft. You're going to need another running back. Kamara might be suspended, but even then, you need a second guy, more between the tackles. So let's say you get sort of the wide receiver, running back, defensive front needs sorted out. You can save some money with quarterbacks. And frankly, I think their solution is on the roster, arguably, in Jameis Winston, but that ship has sailed. The Saints have made it very clear that's not their option going forward. So Andy Dalton's a free agent. He's not better than Derek Carr. I'm not saying that, okay? Derek Carr is much better than Andy Dalton. I'm not going to deny that. But a quarterback that fits a lot of the criteria that you can get on a cheap deal, that could be a starter, if not Jameis Winston, Jacoby Brissett. He was 8th in EPA per play this year with the Browns. Filled in for 11 games while Deshaun Watson was suspended. In that time, completed 64% of his passes, 237 yards per game, 12 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And sure, he's behind a good offensive line. He's got a good running game. That supports him. The rest of his offense supports him. But what's really a wide receiver? Is it better than what the Saints have? I don't think so. Even if Michael Thomas leaves, Chris Olave, Amari Cooper, they could be similar down the road. And another good thing about Jacoby Brissett is he's not a dual threat quarterback, but he can run. He averaged 22 rushing yards per game. They used him even when he was benched for Deshaun Watson. They used him in 4th down situations to kind of sneak it in. He's a great quarterback sneak guy. And maybe that'll push the Saints to actually go for it on 4th and 1s where they should, because they were the most scared team in terms of coaching on 4th downs this year. So Jacoby Brissett, that's a name I'd watch out for. He's a good quarterback, and potentially he's not your Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. We know that. We've seen enough. He started just short of 50 games in his career. But Geno Smith had started a bunch of games, and he got relegated as a backup. He was not a starter anymore. Seattle took a chance on him, and guess what? He produced very well for them. One of the top EPA per play guys as well. So can you find your next Geno Smith? I'd say Jameis Winston would be a nice try, but that's not going to happen. So Derek Carr, not my fancy, okay? I'm going to go elsewhere, and if you're not going to get your guy in the draft, if you don't have the money to spend on Lamar Jackson, you don't have any trade assets to go get a Joe Burrow or a Herbert or Trey Lance, he's stuck in San Francisco. So all the top-end talents, let's not go for Baker Mayfield. Jacoby Brissett, why not? Interested discussion there. I'm curious why Brissett hasn't gotten more run as a potential landing spot here in New Orleans. When we come back, we'll speak to Dwayne Colucci, one of my favorites from his time Thursdays on Jimmy Ott's Game Time. He joins us every Tuesday here on Hanny Time. We'll hear his thoughts on the weekend's action and maybe if he has some hockey picks. This is Hanny Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hey, it's on. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody. Hope you're enjoying a day off. We're working 1 to 3. We'll have Glenn West from the box getting ready for LSU and Southern and get you ready for the SEC hoops on deck. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Max Gotro filling in for Charlie on this Mardi Gras edition of Hanny Time. In case you missed us earlier in the show, Pete Thamel reporting LSU Special Teams Coordinator Brian Polian shifting to a off-field role with LSU. Roster management, NIL, transfer portal type stuff. So Brian Polian no longer special teams coordinator. They will be looking for a replacement for Brian Polian there. As always on Tuesdays, Dwayne Colucci joins us from the Rampart. Give us that horn. There you go. Race and sports manager at the Rampart in Las Vegas. You can follow him on Twitter at NYBookie Dwayne. Colucci, how's it going this Tuesday?
Going well, Max. Finally get to join you once on this show. So definitely doing well. Happy Mardi Gras to all you guys. I'm watching the Fairgrounds racetrack feed, and everybody's dressed up over there. So I know you guys are partying and having a good time. So enjoy it.
Yeah, between the break dancing I've heard about on Jimmy Yacht's Game Time, I'm an assistant, by the way, so I hear all your segments every Thursday. Between the break dancing, I heard you're breaking hearts all the time there in Queens. I mean, I'll tell you, between myself, Charlie, Jimmy, we can make you king of one of these parades around here.
I'm definitely going to make it a point to make it out there. We've discussed it several times. I know Jimmy is going to be here in March, so we'll definitely have a great, without a doubt. And I appreciate all the support, Max. You know, it's unbelievable how many people visit from the Louisiana area, come right to the counter at the Rampart and say, Colucci, you know, we listen to you all the time. Jimmy's the man, Charlie, all the publicity. It's just, it's really a good vibe, and there's some great people down there in Louisiana.
Have you ever been to New Orleans for Mardi Gras?
No, I haven't, Max. I definitely have to make it a point. You know, it's on my bucket list, as most people call it. Definitely want to enjoy and experience that because, that's just, it looks like such a unique vibe and an experience that is second to none.
Do spaghetti and king cake today for Mardi Gras. So,
I love it.
Yeah, Colucci, first weekend without the NFL this past weekend. Where did you see the action move to at the Rampart?
Yeah, it was definitely tough, Max, because you had the NBA All-Star break as well. So, a lot of people were focusing on the college football. We had some XFL action, just because we do have a team here in Las Vegas. But, the XFL, I think people were definitely, being very leery and not jumping in head first. And the Las Vegas team ended up losing. I mean, it was right on the spread, though, because the Arlington Renegades were like a 2.5-point favorite. It came down. So the Vipers, they played okay. I didn't really watch all the game. I caught dribs and drabs of it. But most of the handle, Max, was on the college hoops. And, you had that fabulous Sunday matchup where Houston faced off against Memphis. And that was definitely a really, really nice matchup for handle. A lot of people are, still gambling on UNLV, and definitely the top teams. UCLA is gone. We're in close proximity to them. Alabama's having a fabulous season, and what you have this year is a unique situation, Max, where there's really not one standout team. So you're getting a lot of handles spread across the board, which works out to our favor and advantage. And naturally, the hockey. I'm a big hockey guy. There was a lot of hockey action over the weekend as well. We had some really nice matchups. And moving forward, the Vegas Golden Knights are in a prime playoff position. So that definitely will garner more handle at the Rampart in South Point.
Yeah, we had the Outdoor Classic there at NC State. So those have to garner more action, right?
Yeah, definitely. When you have NC and NC State facing off, those interstate rivalries, even if it's Duke and North Carolina, who are not two of the fabulous teams this year, you're going to see a lot of handle on those matchups without a doubt. And, it's good that this year, like I said, you have a pretty even playing landscape. I mean, usually in years past, Gonzaga was just running the table, 1 loss, 2 losses going into the tournament. That's different this year. St. Mary's has a Ken Palm of 8 and Gonzaga 13. So now St. Mary's has actually leapfrogged Gonzaga, and you don't have that one team that people are focusing that are running the table. You have several teams that have 4 losses. Houston has the least with 2 losses, but even a team like Creighton, who is 18-9, definitely is a strong team, and they're making a statement in the Big East. And, UConn got off to that fabulous start. We all watched that, but then they had a big losing streak. Now they're back playing at a good level. There's so many different teams. Kansas is right there in the Big 12,
right.
Leading. And like I said, UCLA, Max, definitely getting a lot of handle there.
Interesting. I know you mentioned earlier you watched a little bit of the Vegas Vipers. What were your thoughts on the XFL? You think it's around long term? I like some of the rules they had implemented.
Yeah, there are some, interesting rules. It didn't last, long the last time that Mr. McMahon put that out there. But definitely in Las Vegas, it's going to be an attraction because, like I said, we have a local team, Max. So this has become a great, great sports town. And it definitely helps when you have a team, whether it's, indoor soccer, arena football. And we know we have the major sports now with the Raiders and the Knights and maybe the A's coming here shortly. So this has become a great sports town. And, we will get more handle as the season goes on the Vipers. But it was okay. Nothing like the NFL, in my opinion. But I think it can last a couple of seasons. I mean, the USFL has, so let's see what happens.
Colucci, I'm like many here in South Louisiana, a bit of a rookie hockey watcher. I watch a little bit. I got a friend who's a New York Rangers fan, so I see some of those games. I hear bits and pieces here. Obviously, I listen to you all the time. From what I understand, there's been some historically bad defenses this year in the NHL. I'm looking right now at the 9 games tonight. You've got mostly totals at 6.5, maybe some 6s. I'm used to seeing some 5.5s. I know there's some teams, I believe it's the Canucks, that have just a historically bad defense this year, but are we seeing that across the board, a little bit more scoring on the ice?
Yeah, definitely. If you don't have a marquee goaltender like the Rangers have in Igor Shesterkin, you're going to see a lot of goals scored. And Vancouver has been a tremendous play over in the first period, if you've been paying attention, Max. These are angles that the players definitely have an advantage on first period wagering. You're seeing tons of 6.5s tonight. I believe there's maybe 2 6s and even a 7 on the board. So it's not even the fact that the defenses are lacking. The referees call a lot of phantom penalties. It isn't like the rough sport that it's been synonymous with in the past, Max. The games are called a lot more tighter. The sticks and the hooking and, interference, these are called quite frequently, in my opinion. So, it's not just bad defenses, but we do have to inflate the totals when you have more power plays. And if you don't have that superior goaltending, like I said, the tandem in Boston has been fabulous. Shesterkin has been fabulous. Vanacek for the Devils. You have some stud goaltenders out there, Connor Hellebuck. They could keep you in a game when you're betting on the unders. But then, even as good as the Vegas Golden Knights are now, without Logan Thompson, who was an all-star, you're getting Aiden Hill and Laurent Brossoit as the goaltenders, and they're definitely backups that are now forced into a starting position. So, yeah, definitely a lot more overs, and it's just the way the flow of the game and the games are particularly being called now.
You might have referenced this a little bit, but can you explain a little bit why first period overs for Canucks? I wouldn't really know why first period specifically.
Yeah, they just come out, somewhat flat. They give up goals. You're setting these at 1.5, 2, maybe even 2.5 on some of the bad teams on the first period. But the Canucks, they score quite often and they give up goals early in games. It's 22, 30, and 3. So, I'm seeing a high ticket count on their over tonight, which they're in Nashville. The total is 6.5, and we have it shaded -120 at the Rampart and South Point. And the first period wagers are definitely coming in on the over as well in this game. So, you have to be, as a bookmaker, concise, keep our, definitely keep our eyes open on certain teams. And their goaltending has dropped off this year. They changed coaches already. Vancouver's in a little of a transitional period right now.
9 games tonight. You mentioned the Golden Knights. They're one of the teams in action. They go to Chicago to take on the Blackhawks. Any picks for us tonight? Anything you like?
Yeah, definitely, Max. The Golden Knights, a fabulous road team, and they're playing a team that is in massive disarray right now in the Chicago Blackhawks. You're seeing a 3-1 at the Rampart and South Point, which is huge. I would definitely lay the puck line with the Vegas Golden Knights. They're a superior road team. They play better on the road than at T-Mobile. They definitely have stabilized the goaltending situation. Tonight, you will see Laurent Brossoit back from the Henderson Silver Knights, and he was back up last year until they acquired Aiden Hill, who has done a fabulous job in spelling, the hurt goaltender that we currently have. So I definitely like the Vegas Golden Knights, even though Brossoit tonight in his first appearance. He has been in the league for several years. He was in the minors. Now he's back up, but I feel confident with that. You can't lay 6-1 with Tampa Bay. I mean, you're seeing a 6-1, Max. I mean, these lines are unheard of. I mean, I've never seen lines like this. Devils are 350 against the Canadians. That's big, but the Canadians are 1-9-1 in their last 11 on the road. So I would recommend possibly betting the Devils there as well. On the puck line, like I said, you get Vanacek against Samuel Montembeault tonight, but definitely Vanacek, he's been fabulous, 24-5. You're playing without Jack Hughes there, who is one of the premier goal scorers in the league, but the Devils want to definitely stay ahead of the New York Rangers in this battle in the Eastern Conference. It's very tight-knit, and the East has some fabulous, fabulous teams. And we could go with the Los Angeles Kings on the road tonight. One of my favorite teams, I'll be honest. They're really playing at a high level, 32-18-6, only a couple of points behind the Vegas Golden Knights. And with Vegas playing a real weak team, the Kings will step it up in Minnesota tonight. 130, Minnesota is the favorite at the Rampart and South Point. So I'm liking Kings, Golden Knights puck line, and a little Devils action on the puck line.
All right, I like it there. I like it. Your thought? I watched a little bit of the outdoor classic. That's the hockey. So it was the Hurricanes hosting. It was the Capitals, right? Those are always fun, but that was, I think, the quickest sellout. The Hurricanes, they seem to have quite an atmosphere at home.
Yeah, definitely. And you could see their celebrations after the end of games. They have a theatrical, basic celebration when they're on their home ice. And they really built a strong team this year. But I will say, definitely, Max, if you said you experienced a lot of New York Ranger games. The Rangers have their number. Carolina has a big problem playing against the New York Rangers. And they may have to face off again in the playoffs, similar to last year. And they're going to have to rectify that. Max Pacioretty was one of their big free agent acquisitions, and he's gone for the season, maybe his career. But, you have guys like Aho that definitely could stabilize. He's a fabulous goal scorer, and Carolina is now become a huge, huge hockey town. They definitely want to match up with the Bruins, the Rangers, the Devils, and so forth. And they're definitely a hungry, hungry team right now. And that's why you're seeing them tonight as a 360 favorite on home ice against the St. Louis Blues and Jordan Binnington, who has already won a Stanley Cup. So definitely these games are readjusted, Max. We're inflating lines because certain teams like Carolina only have 10 losses on the season, and their losses come few and far between when they start to get rolling. So Carolina is a huge hockey town now, and definitely Washington with the grade 8. So that would definitely be a massive sellout in minutes.
Interesting. For sure. Great stuff as always. Dwayne Colucci, race and sports manager at the Rampart in Las Vegas. You can follow him on Twitter at NYBookieDwayne. And feel free to send any king cakes you might have your way. We're about to get rid of them. It's about lit time, but Mardi Gras king cake around the corner. Dwayne, you know what happens if you get the baby in the king cake, right?
No, what is that?
Oh, you got to buy the next one. So don't get the baby. You don't want to chew on it either. It's plastic. It's not good. So don't get the king cake. Colucci, as always, we appreciate it. Look forward to hearing from you on Thursday as well on Jimmy Yacht's Game Time. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Max. And definitely happy Mardi Gras to all everybody out there at Baton Rouge. Thanks for having me on.
All right, appreciate it, Colucci. That's Dwayne Colucci of the Rampart. When we come back, we'll get to your questions. If you have any questions for us, feel free. Leave them in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. We'll close out the show next. This is Hanny Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs, the local institution, keeping the party going this weekend. Starting on Thursday, get your jitterbug lessons. Swamp Pop jitterbug lessons start at 6 o'clock, and then at 7, it's DJ K-Jack is on stage. On Friday, Jared Kelly takes the stage, and then on Saturday, it's the return of the Chris LeBlanc Band to Big Mike's. Hot ball crawfish, 7 days a week at Big Mike's. Big Mike himself working the pot, starting at 11 o'clock every day. If you'd rather have boiled shrimp, Monday night, it's all-you-can-eat boiled shrimp. That's every Monday night at Big Mike's. Big Mike's, the local Denham Springs institution on Aspen Boulevard, includes the Denham Springs Hall of Fame. And happy hour drink prices Monday through Friday from 3 until 7. On Sundays, it's happy hour all day starting at 11 a.m. Big Mike's on Aspen in Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. Bulls, Bands, and Barrels at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. With bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman with Timothy Wayne. February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center, 7 p.m.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Musso, join us for Tuesday's AFR. I'm in for Matt again. We'll have updates from the box as LSU takes on Southern and any movement with Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. It's Tuesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Max Gotro filling in on this Mardi Gras Tuesday. Charlie will be back tomorrow, so don't worry, the nerd in the seat will be out by tomorrow. Filling in Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp here on the ones and twos. Any questions we have? I do have a question for y'all. You just heard that song, Mardi Gras, best Mardi Gras song out there. I was trying to look them up. I'm terrible with song titles, so I was trying to figure out which one was which, but Any come to mind?
This one that's playing right now, this is the same song that plays every time the Saints hit a field goal in the Superdome, and Mardi Gras Mambo down in New Orleans. That's a classic.
That was mine. Taylor, anything come to mind?
I know exactly one, and it's Mardi Gras Mambo, so I'm going to go with that one.
Okay. Giacomo, the I go, I'm not going to sing.
Oh, yeah. I know that one. That's a Mardi Gras song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always assumed it was, at least.
I'm not a big Mardi Gras guy. I'll take your word for it.
All right.
Why not? I mean, look, you can do Walking to New Orleans. That's not really a Mardi Gras song, but that's a good one. I mean, we can come up with all sorts of ones. What do you like listening to? You got a float, let's say you're making the playlist. You can't do all Mardi Gras songs. So I guess we're mixing in like rap, hip hop, or some people do country? That seems a little out of place.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to your preference, I guess. But if it was me, I'd try to mix in like some local flavor, like Hot Boys, Lil Wayne, Currency, artists that are, native to New Orleans.
Some classic rock some people do. I don't hate that one, but, country just not my.
Yeah, country and Mardi Gras don't really go together in my mind.
Maybe if you're out in Franklin with the King of Sucrose,
Hell
Charles
yeah.
Hanagriff. Maybe he listens to some country with this Mardi Gras. But again, Charlie will be back in tomorrow. Thanks to all of you for joining us these last 2 days. If you missed anything, Dwayne Colucci joined us at 12:30. And remember the big news that dropped just about 10:30. Special teams coordinator, no longer Brian Polian. He will stay on staff in an off-field role. So their bit of news dropped just before we came on, but really appreciate all of you for being on. And, of course, Dwayne Colucci for joining us on this Tuesday. The Hunt Palmer Show is up next for Mario Rez and Taylor Sharp. I'm Max Gotro. Happy Mardi Gras, everyone. This has been Hanny Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.